And now I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar on integrating SharePoint with Microsoft Office. It is my pleasure to introduce our featured presenter today. He is New Horizons instructor, Mr. Tom Keene. Tom, you now have the floor.
Thank you very much, and hello everyone. So, Microsoft Office applications are designed to integrate with Microsoft SharePoint 2016 so that users can easily access documents stored in SharePoint. In this webinar today, we're going to take a look at some of these integration features built into Microsoft Office apps to access documents in SharePoint, use document versioning features and document checkout features in SharePoint, and how you can synchronize data from SharePoint to Microsoft Outlook. SharePoint 2016 is designed with an emphasis on providing seamless access to data, no matter where it is, on-premise or in the cloud. You can easily open and save content in SharePoint directly from your Office apps. Both Office and SharePoint support synchronization of files to OneDrive for offline use. Office apps are version and checkout aware and will notify you if you're opening a document in one of those states. You can synchronize SharePoint libraries and lists with Microsoft Outlook so you can view and work with documents as well as list and calendar information directly from Outlook. So let's take a look at accessing and saving documents in SharePoint 2016. Now, SharePoint allows you to synchronize sites and document libraries for use offline if Microsoft Office is installed on a local system. From any site or document library that you wish to synchronize, you can select the Sync button on the ribbon to synchronize the folder. So in this particular library, I'm going to Team Documents, click the Library tab, and then on the ribbon, we go to the Connect and Export group and tell it we'd like to connect to Office. And there I want to add SharePoint sites. Now, initially, when you actually connect to Office, you don't get any confirmation. So if you go to Managing SharePoint Sites, you can check my links to make sure that you have in fact made that connection. Now, select a file in SharePoint Library, and you can open that in a desktop app. You can make changes to the file. Then you can do a Save As. You can select Browse, and then the name of the current folder should be Shared Documents. And then you can simply type in a name and save. So in this Team Documents list, I have a Microsoft file that I want to open. I can select the file, tell it I would like to open the document. In this case, I'm going to open up in the desktop version rather than the online version. Then I want to make a change to the file. And now I can go up to File. And when I choose the Save As option, I then see I have this location of shared documents. I can also browse and note again, my shared document library comes in place. I can give it a modified name if I'd like. And then click my Save button. So in this case, we've actually then accessed a document from a SharePoint library. We opened it in a desktop version, made a change, and the SharePoint library was a location choice when it comes time to save the file. So next thing we're going to talk about is how you guys could actually then work with versioning in SharePoint. Sometimes when you're working with a file, you may want to hang on to the original and then of course keep versions along the way And that way, if you need to, you can always go back to an earlier version. So SharePoint can store multiple iterations of documents and allow you to view, compare, and restore previous versions. Document versioning must be turned on for each document library, and different libraries can have different versioning settings involved. When you open a previous version of a document, the Office app will warn you that the document is a previous version and gives you the option of comparing this version to the current version or restoring this version to make it the current version. There are 3 version settings you have in here: no versioning, no earlier versions are saved. You have major versions. Every time a document is saved, a new version is created. And if it's in a shared library, it is a major version, everyone will be able to see those. With major and minor versions, users can read all major versions, but only users with permission can read minor versions. This might be, for example, if you were creating inside a department a document you later wanted the whole staff to read, only people within, say, the HR department might be able to read all these minor versions, and then when a major version is saved, everyone will be able to see the results. So in this particular example, versioning it's already been enabled for the document library. So when I get started with the file, the first thing I may want to check out is a version history. So I'm going to choose a file, and then I'm going to check out the actual version history. I can see there is currently only one version of it. So next, to create a version, I'm going to open it in Word. In Word, I'm going to make a change to the file and then save it. And now there's a progress bar telling me that this file is being uploaded to SharePoint. Now, once I get out of Microsoft Word and then go back into SharePoint, I want to check the version history. And now I see there are 2 versions that are available. It's also nice to indicate when it was modified and by whom. So for version 1.0 of the document, in this case, if I want to create a new version of the file, I want to compare this information. I can start by selecting the date. Document opens up in Word. And now in Word, you're going to notice there's a warning message indicating that this is a previous version of the file, not the current. And if I'd like, I can see the differences by clicking Compare. Then the Compare Results document opens in Microsoft Word. So next thing we're going to talk about is once you have the versioning in place, you may want to do a check-in and check-out. Site owners can require that documents are checked out of a SharePoint document library before they can be edited. When a document is checked out, it's locked for the exclusive editing by that particular user. Other site users can see visual representation that the document is checked out. There's a little icon next to the name of the file. Then the user who has the document checked out can save changes without checking the document back in. Those changes would then be visible to other users. After the document has been checked back in, a new version of the document is created and becomes visible for other users. So, I want to talk a little bit about how you would check out a document. So I'm going to select a file in the document library, and in the open menu, I'm going to choose edit the file. And then I have to make it editable in Word. And next, I want to check out info about the document. When I go to Manage Document, I can click the Checkout button. Now I'm going to switch back to the browser. And there's a little icon indicating that that's now been checked out. So I'm going to switch back to Word. And then I'm going to select File and Info page. When I'm done with the file, I want to check it back in. I can then write a version comment and then click OK. Now, if I switch back to my browser and refresh the page, the icon's going to change. And again, I can see the file is now back in, ready for other people to use. Now, those are examples of things you would do with Excel files, Word files, PowerPoint files. What we're going to talk about next is how you can work with SharePoint data and access it from working with Outlook. You can synchronize document libraries, calendars, contact lists, and then other types of lists from SharePoint to Outlook. This is going to bring that content directly into Outlook. Synchronized calendars, lists, and libraries will appear in the Outlook folder pane. For example, a synchronized calendar would appear under Other Calendars. Items from the calendar list or library will appear in the Content pane. So again, the first thing we need to do is we're going to go to a team calendar page in SharePoint. And then on that ribbon, we're going to start by selecting the Calendar tab. Then we need to go to that Connect and Export group and tell it to connect to Outlook. And then in the dialog box that appears, I'm going to do Allow. And now I want to switch over to Outlook. And in the dialog box message that appears, I want to click Advanced. And I can observe the SharePoint list options. And then I'm going to click OK. And in the dialog box, click Yes, connect it to SharePoint. So then I want to just check that SharePoint option. And now I actually can see the developer team site calendar that's available in Outlook. So what I want to do next is actually use the calendar. So in SharePoint, I'm going to create an appointment, and then we're going to see that it shows up in Outlook. So I'm going to add a date in the team calendar new item dialog box. I'm going to add the title. I can add a location. Select my start time, end times, who's going to attend it, and then just save it. Now I'm going to go back into Outlook. I need to refresh or update this folder. And there would be my new appointment that was created in SharePoint that can be seen inside of Outlook. One of the cool advantages here, of course, is that if something is going on in SharePoint, I don't have to be going back and forth between those two apps. I can be aware of it happening directly inside of SharePoint, inside of Outlook. So next in our document, I want to talk about how I can synchronize information. So this is where I want to synchronize a document library to Outlook. So I'm going to begin, of course, by going to a document library. I'm going to select the library tab and then go to the Connect and Export and select Connect to Outlook. Dialog box appears. I do allow. Switch over then to Outlook. In the dialog box that appears, I'm going to click Yes. And there I can actually, again, do my certificates indicating it's in place. And there I actually see my SharePoint lists. So these, in essence, are using the preview feature that comes with Outlook. If I click on any of the documents, as long as I have the app on my computer, I can actually preview it while I'm sitting in Outlook in the reader pane. A very, very cool feature, because now if something is added to SharePoint and I'm spending all day in Outlook, I can actually refresh that list and then see what's going on there. So what we're going to do next is now edit a document in Outlook. So I want to select a file. I'm going to double click it to open it and then tell it to edit it. Right now I'm going to get rid of that activation method, edit offline, and click OK. So I'm going to make changes to the document, save the changes. And then once I've made the changes, if there's any prompt for updates, I'll see that. Yes, I want to do the update. I'm currently offline. So it's uploading to SharePoint. I want to switch back to SharePoint. Select the file in the library. I can see the change that's taken place in the preview. So next, we're going to talk about how you could email a document to a SharePoint library. So in Outlook, I want to start by creating a new message. In the to box, I'm going to type the library's address. I'm then going to enter a subject line. In this case, I'm going to type shared spreadsheet. And then I want to attach a file. I'm going to browse my PC for an Excel document, regular attachment, and just click send. So now I'm going to switch over to SharePoint. I want to go over to my team documents library. And in this case, I just have to refresh the screen. I might have to refresh it a few times. And then that document will appear. So that's kind of a nice transfer instead of actually having to do the traditional drag the message onto your desktop and then transfer it like a regular file into SharePoint. So that's some of the cool connections that you can have between some of your various Microsoft Office apps. So a common workflow for many organizations is to create a Teams site. Inside that team site, have a document library of some kind, and then choose to sync that into their SharePoint apps. So now when someone makes a change, they can open the file directly from SharePoint. One key here is you always want to make sure if you're opening it in either desktop or the online version. Typically, they will open with the online file. I usually make sure I'm using the desktop. Then I can make my change and it's going to be saved. Cool. And that's a quick look at getting started with synchronizing some of your Microsoft Office programs with SharePoint. Kelly, I'll hand it off back to you now.
All right, thank you so much, Tom. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to type those in the chat now. We can go ahead and address those over audio. Just want to remind everyone that this session is being recorded, so in case there was anything you missed or any colleagues you'd like to pass this on to, you will receive that link tomorrow morning to be able to review that session. Also want to point you guys to our website or to contact your local New Horizons for further information on any of our upcoming courses. You can visit our website at newhorizons.com and do a zip code search to find the center nearest you, or reach out to your local New Horizons representative. All right, Tom, it looks like we do have a couple questions coming through.
Sure.
When emailing a document to SharePoint, how do I know the library's address?
That is something, again, you can actually contact the SharePoint site administrator and try to track down that particular address.
All right. I thought I saw a few more people typing questions, so I want to just hang on the line for just another minute here. Also want to let you guys know that we do have upcoming webinars. October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so we have a number of webinars that are complimentary for you to join us. So I hope you will visit our website at newhorizons.com, click on the webinars link, and there you will see all of our upcoming sessions that you can register for absolutely for free. All right, it looks like we can go ahead and wrap things up. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And thank you again, Tom. We really appreciate and love when you come and join us for webinars. Thank you so much.
Terrific. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Bye.